Hi, welcome. If you don't know me, I'm David Bland. If that has no meaning to you, which I'd expect it most likely to not, hardly has any meaning for me, I would encourage you to go look at the introductory module that we've created. Today, in this environment, there's all kinds of people trying to convince you to do all kinds of things and claiming to know stuff they don't know anything about. When it comes to important matters, you need to think for yourself, and you need to know who you're talking to know whether you should pay any attention to what they have to say or not. So in the introductory modules that we've created, it gives you a chance to know who I am, where I've been and what I've done. And then from that, you can make a judgment whether I have no idea what I'm talking about, or whether I might have something to offer you that would be valuable to you as you embark upon creating this dream that you call a business. So with that said, let's talk about the next topic. Once you've decided how to run your firm and why you think you have a firm, right? That's something the public might say. Let me interject right now too, because I might forget this in other modules. And I learned this too, right? It's really easy to think, I have this great idea and people will want to buy what I have to sell. Okay, so here's the crushing blow. Nobody cares what your idea is. That's just the brutal truth. Okay, what matters is, what do people want to buy? You can have the best idea on the planet, and if nobody needs it and no one's buying it, you just have a great idea, but no money. So please make sure that you've thought about, do people really want to buy this, even though I think it's a good product? Now, let's talk about getting started. We've talked a little bit about the forms that you can choose, the 4 different methods, if you will, that you can use to create your business. Let's talk about how you really get going. And what do I mean by that? Well, if you haven't figured out, because you haven't gotten far enough yet to figure it out, how you get going is you have to have money. It's just the sad truth. Now, I'm not saying how much money you need, okay, but I can assure you, you have to have some. You can't run a business without some, right? You can't even get a business license unless you have some, right? They ask for a fee to give you a business license. So let's talk about how you might do that. And sadly, I can tell you I've played with all of them and actually participated in all of them, and so I have some insights what it's like. So the first thing, right, you need to know is how much money you actually need, okay? And we'll talk about business plans a little bit later, but if you haven't created at least some simple form of a business plan, I cannot encourage you strong enough to go do that. And later on, there'll be a module for you to look at that will help you understand what that means and how you do one. But in that business plan, part of what you're going to figure out is how much money do you need to get started? And how much money do you need, say, in the first year? Those are important parameters if you expect your business to survive. Okay, it is, as I'm sure you know, most businesses fail. It's the sad truth. I will tell you further, the hardest part about a business is keeping the money rolling, okay, and keeping it floated. Okay, so you need to have some concept of what that will take. And then once you know that, you can kind of figure out, all right, then where's it coming from? So the easy answer, right, and frankly the most logical answer and the most likely answer, and for what it's worth, the answer that I had to use, is it's self-funded. So you have to go out, you have to use your own money, and you have to buy and purchase the things that it takes to get going. If you hire staff, and again, it'll depend a little bit on the kind of business you're running, but if you hire staff, you're going to have to be able to pay them. There's very few people who are interested in working for nothing. Okay. So what I'm going to tell you is the first place to find money is yourself. Now, the sad truth is, that's not always possible, right? Not all of us, I can assure you I fall in that category too. Not all of us are walking around with bank accounts that are bulging so much that we can just fund any idea that comes into our head. Okay, so self-funding is not always sufficient. So let's talk about other places that you might be able to find yourself funds. Okay. The next logical choice, right, is a friend or a family member. Now, they can either loan you money, they can invest in your business with some negotiation that you had with them. They can in any way provide funding that you might need as gift. I mean, however it is they're comfortable and you're comfortable. If you create an arrangement whereby you either owe them the money back or they own something about your business, in the strongest possible way, you'll be surprised over time how things degrade. I strongly encourage you to create a written document that documents the understanding. You're talking to a guy that has experience, that even the people you trust the most have a different perspective on what they thought the world should be like if and when your business turns successful. Only way to avoid that and to avoid frictions and fights is with a written agreement. Okay, and it doesn't have to be complex, but you can write it yourself, but it does probably need to be written. Right? So second place that you're going to go get funding to start your business or keep it running, which is when I went and did it, is to go to friends and family and obtain funding from them that's sufficient to run your business. Okay, and so here's what I'm going to tell you next. If you are a new startup, those are your options. Okay, it's not going to be something else. Now, of course, you can go to a bank and borrow money on your home, okay, but they're not going to loan you a penny on your business idea. It's not how they work. Trust me, I've done it. And in fact, I'm going to tell you a story. I had been running my business for a year and a half, and if you've watched the video, Entrepreneur Magazine had already figured out I was running it pretty successfully. I went to the bank that I've been dealing with for that year and a half. They'd watched the money flow through our accounts, and I can tell you it was well in excess of $100,000 a month. And I went to them and I said, look, my clients are major public utilities. And so they require me to wait to get paid. But I have to pay the help while I'm going along. And so cash is getting a little tight. And by the way, in your business, cash is king. If you've heard that expression, it's true. And so I went to this banker, and it was an officer that I knew based on the last year and a half worth of interactions, and said, I'd like to establish a line of credit for my business. I can put up my receivables. Receivables are money that people owe you for work you've already performed, if you don't know what that term means. And you know my clients are major public utilities, like the people you pay your power bill to. So they're good for the money. And here's what he told me. I'm sorry, but we won't loan you a penny. Your business is too new, and we're not going to loan your business money, in spite of how good you think it is. And then in the very next breath, he said, but I'm glad you're here. Now remember, I wanted to get a $100,000 line of credit based on receivables that I already had, that I wouldn't take unless I needed the money. His response to me was, but I'd love to loan you some money. I'd be willing today to loan you up to $50,000 to take a vacation if you'd like. No joking. That is what was said. I want to run my business. I can prove to you that it's effective in making money, and I can pay you back because it's to run the business. And the answer is no. But I'd be more than happy to loan you almost the same amount of money for you to totally waste it. Now, not that vacations are a waste, but there's no return investment off your vacation to repay the money. So don't get in your idea in your head that you're going to create a business plan or a new business or whatever and go to a bank and get money. You're not. They will not loan it. They might loan it to you, but they will not loan it to your business. The second place to get money, right, is there's all kinds of small loaning companies, right, that will loan you money. There's other more complicated ways to get money, depending upon how you're working and what your business is, called factoring companies. If you hear that term, that's what it's all about. That takes an awful lot of your profit, okay, between interest rates or fees. They're going to eat up. You know, your average business is going to do somewhere between 8 and 12% net, meaning after all bills are paid, all salaries are paid, all expenses are paid, you'll get about roughly 10% profit that will be yours to keep. A factoring company will use somewhere between 3 and 5% of it just to give you the money to keep you running. So in other words, you're giving them half of your company. You do it if you have to, not a great choice in terms of the cost effectiveness of it. Obviously, you go to worse and worse financial companies, you're going to be paying 18, 22, 25, 35, 60% interest rates. Again, you're basically running your company for the benefit of these people. Those are not good options. So when I could think about this, at least in the early phases, what's the next level of success you might have, depending upon the quality and the uniqueness of your idea? There's something called angel investors. And what those folks are is they're basically rich people. They have a lot of money. It's sitting around. They can use it, and they can use it with you. Now, they might loan money more often than not, but at interest rates they'll be higher, but they won't be as bad as loan sharks in effect. But mostly, what angel investors is they want a piece of your business when they loan you money, if you will, or provide you money. And they want a plan that buys them out in some finite period of time, 2 years, 3 years, 5 years, something like that. All right, they're hard to find. You have to have a pretty unique idea to get it done and get the money, but they are options. And depending upon who's watching this, they may be an option for you. So if you've never heard of angel investors and you have a really good, dynamic, innovative idea, and you need more money than you can get from yourself or your friends or family, I strongly encourage you to think about angel investors. They're usually in your local communities, okay, as opposed to something that like you go to New York City for, but you get the idea. So the last or the fourth way to get funding for your business is from venture capitalists. Okay, so these are folks and legal entities, firms, funds, who are enormously funded, okay? Where angel investors tend to be individuals who are wealthy, who invest in small businesses. Venture capitalists are a collection of those wealthy individuals, all pooling their money and having folks who run that for them invest in what they think are good investments. Okay, so venture capitalists are huge. Huge funds, huge abilities, huge connections, lots of ability to help you, actually. They're going to want much the same things that an angel investor wants, right? They're going to take a piece of your business. They're, in terms of ownership, they're going to want an exit strategy, meaning they're going to want to be bought out in some finite period of time because your business is successful and you're putting the money back to them, giving them a wonderful return and allowing them to get all their money back and get out with a good return in 2 years, 3 years, 5 years, something like that, right? Typically, not always, but typically. Okay, so they actually are a great source of large amounts of money and connections and advice, right? They have lots of experts that can help guide you if you have areas where you don't have that strength. I'll just tell you, I've had discussions, right? My business packaged nuclear waste, okay, pretty exotic. And so I actually was approached by 2 venture capitalist firms and I met with them. And I can tell you even after that, it went nowhere. Okay? They are very keen on huge growth. They are very keen on software or computer technology related firms. So if you've got a unique idea, you've got a very special concept, and you're in that field, there's a good chance that you might be able to get funding you need from venture capital. But otherwise, honestly, you're probably not going to get any money from them. So what have we learned? Let's rehash, right? You can self-fund, you can get family or friends who are willing to help you by loans, gifts, or ownership in your process. You can try to do banks, but that's going to be at a personal level and it's going to be on another asset It won't be on your business when you're getting started, but you can go to angel investors. I guarantee you, unless you live in the smallest of smallest towns, your city has angel investors in it. You just need to find the way to find them. And then finally, venture capitalists. If your idea and your concept and your growth potential is so enormous, you can probably get venture capitals interested in what you're doing. So until next time, you now know how to start a business. You now know how to fund it. We'll talk more about how those business structures go and the kind of things you need to do to get started next time.